basically is attendees from today's session will have the opportunity to be entered into a prize draw. So shall we get started, Ash, with this short quiz? Did you want to talk us through what's going to happen next?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited to get you all jazzed up this morning with a short quiz about Black History Month. So shortly, you're going to see a square pop up on your screen with four questions that we're going to ask you today. Each of those 4 questions are going to have 2 options for you to choose from, and you get to select what you believe to be the right answer. So should we get started?
Go for it, Ash. Over to you.
Ah, fantastic. So we've got question number 1 up on your screen for you, which is Black History Month is celebrated in October in the UK. But what month is Black History Month celebrated in the USA? Is it January? Is it February? Or is it March? Feel free to select the boxes to choose your answer. Well, looks like the answers are in. And correct. If you chose February, that is absolutely correct. 45% of our 45% of you absolutely got the right answer correct. Fantastic. Interesting fun fact, the answer is February because February coincides with the President Abraham Lincoln's birthday, as well as Frederick Douglass, who was an emancipated slave. Fantastic. Should we move on to question number 2? Perfect. You're going to get another box pop up on your screen. This question is, how much money has Enterprise committed to donating to organizations that advance social and racial equity in communities around the world? Is it option number 1, 35 million, option number 2, 45 million, or option number 3, 55 million? Ooh, stay tuned for your answer. What do you think it's going to be? All 3 are incredible amounts of money. Oh, looks like the results are in. 48% of you say 55 million, and you would be correct. At Enterprise, we don't only see charitable efforts as donating our finances. We also allow all of our employees to have a day each calendar year where every employee gets a day a year called My Purpose, My Time, where they get to go out and support a charitable event, a business, or an initiative in their local communities that brings everyone together. And through that, we don't only care about the finances in charitable efforts, but we also make sure that all of our employees are able to go and support a cause that means something to them as well. So question number 3. Oh, here it comes up on your screens. In 2022, how many Black CEOs are there in the Fortune 500 companies? Is it 1, which is 6? Is it the second box, which is 10? Or is it the third box, which is 13? How many Black CEOs are there representing in the Fortune 500 companies? What do you think is the right answer? Ooh. Okay, so it looks like the results are in. 47% say numbers that say that there are 6 representatives, which is the correct answer. Unfortunately, that makes up only just over 1% of the Fortune 500 companies, which is sometimes you can look at that as being a little bit saddening. But what gives me hope and what really reassures me is events like today, where we all get to really give back to our local communities, where we get to inspire and shape and nurture all of you to become the future leaders of those Fortune 500 companies, so we can see better representation among the Black community in CEOs around the world, hopefully. And let's move on to our last and final question of our pop quiz today. So, how many years has Enterprise been in the top 50 employers for women how many years has Enterprise been in the Times top 50 employers for women list? Is it 5? Is it 8? Or is it 17? How many times have we been in the list? What do you think the answer is? Oh, looks like we're calculating, and 40% are correct, with an astounding 17 years. That's right, we do an incredible job of inspiring, leading, and developing our women in business. We have the amazing opportunity at Enterprise to have been able to have had a female CEO that handed the torch over to another female CEO. And something that I really think is really important to think about is where I just mentioned those the 6 Black CEOs that represent on the Fortune 500 list. Only when you look at the data, only 44 of the CEOs are also female, which also tells us that there's a long way to go for females being able to also develop in their careers and to have a voice and to be able to have a say in the industry and in management. But when you look at Black females among that as well, only two representatives in the Fortune 500 list are both Black and women. Now, this just tells us that as a community, we have so much work to do. There's so much that we can achieve and so much to keep striving for. And events like today really allow us to come together, to put our minds together and to really move forward for social change. And that's one of the most incredible parts of today. Thank you everyone that participated in our quiz today. And I really hope that that quiz just kind of got your thoughts moving and got you all energized for the event that we have for you today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass you over to Rebecca, who is one of our talent acquisition specialists, who's going to now run a workshop with you alongside Chantel and Amos. Rebecca, over to you in studio number 1.
Thank you, Ashley. Now, we all know that Ashley's definitely been waiting a long time to say that as well. So thank you, and thank you for that warm opening as well. So obviously, I'm Becky. I'm one of the talent acquisition specialists here at Enterprise. So I'm going to be leading your workshop today, but I'm also joined with 2 of my colleagues. So I'm going to get them to introduce themselves as well. Amos, if we start with yourself.
Yes, good morning, everyone. It's a very great pleasure to be on this call today in this event. My name is Amos Majeni, and I'm the area manager for Central London.
And Chantal?
Morning, everyone. My name's Chantal Lane, and I'm the accounting supervisor in South East England.
Amazing. So now onto the workshop side of things. So let's hope technology works for me today, and we will be sharing this with you now so we can run through. So I'm going to have a little nod from my team to make sure it's all live and we can all see it. Chantal, we can see it?
Yeah, all good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about on this workshop today is about your personal brand. So really leveling up your personal brand and how we can help you today. So let's get started. Do first impressions matter? So the way you show up, the image you project, the first impression you create will inform people how you want to be treated. They're going to look at those non-verbals. What is your body language, your attire, your eye contact, or your lack of thereof like? And are you really listening? And what's the tone of your voice? Now, many of you today may think that that's really not fair, but people do really think about these things. The old saying of you shouldn't judge a book by its cover is so true, but we all do it. It's part of human nature. Our brains are immensely powerful, filled with data points that become our preferences for how we perceive others in that first encounter. As humans, we take an image, an object, a situation, and we fill in the blanks based on what we say, and our brain takes those shortcuts. So I think you get it. Those first impressions do matter, but so does your personal brand. I'll get Chantal as well to jump in on that. What do you think about those first impressions?
To be honest, I do think first impressions does matter. I've had an instance where this year I had to go and apply for the job that I'm currently in now at the Group U1. So I've been with the company for 7 years now, worked a lot on my personal brand in my old group, Group U2, which was West Midlands area. But coming over here, I knew I had to make a first impression. Like, the guys probably didn't know much about me. So when I came up to that interview, I just made sure I was well prepared. I reached out to senior managements within South East England, just to get a gist of what goes on within the company, what do they do different, just to make sure I was confident going into that interview. Not only that, I just made sure I was dressed and my attire was basically presentable, So I went out, bought a brand new dress just to make sure I looked presentable, and then just practice, rehearse, and just throughout the whole presentation that I gave, just made sure I continued to give eye contact and just smiled and just showed my personality throughout.
Perfect. And what about yourself, Amos, as well? Because you've gone to in Enterprise, we've got different regions, different groups that we go to, and you've obviously moved to different groups as well. What do you think about those first impressions?
Yeah, most definitely. I think first impressions are extremely important. As you said, I've moved around in my career, so there's a lot of situations where I'm meeting people for the first time. So how I present myself is something that's extremely important to me. Also how I communicate and how I articulate myself. You never really know what someone's thinking on those first moments. So you've only got one chance to make a good impression. Also on the flip side is I carry out a lot of interviews. We have candidates who come into our business for the first time. Subconsciously, you can sometimes judge them instantly, even though we don't want to. So I think it's always best that we ensure that we provide the best impression straight away, whether that's how you're dressed, whether that's how you introduce yourself, just to ensure that we give the best possible impression on the get-go.
Perfect. And that leads on to nicely about what we'll talk about next. So what do we mean by personal brand? And we hear this term bandied about a lot, but basically I'm a brand, you are tuning into a brand, and collectively on this call, we are also a brand. Whether you are consciously building it or not, simply put, it is the intellectual, visual, and emotional impression people have when they think of you. It's their summary of you in their mind. And you can't avoid having a personal brand, which is what Glenn Carlson said. Your brand is an expression of who you are, and whether you like it or not, you already have one. Your brand is what you're known for. It's what you stand for and what you stand against. Your products and your services, the people you associate with, and all of these elements contribute to the way people see you. So if we look at it like a definition, and the definition of it is a description of the process whereby people and their careers are defined by actions and reputation, creating an asset that is uniquely distinguishable from others. Your personal brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. Now, as Enterprise, one of our founding values is our brand is the most important thing we own. And at a corporate level, it allows us to stand out from our competitors. The same principle can be applied to you as well. So think of it like a building. A building is a useful metaphor for your brand, and many buildings are dull and unremarkable, so they go unnoticed. For your brand to attract people, you must be distinctive. And you can only achieve this brand when you're being authentic. So it will enable you to attract people who want what you do in the way that you do it. So when you're thinking about this, think, what are your strengths? What am I known for? What am I passionate about? What do I want to accomplish? And what am I truly good at? What contribution can I make? How do I define success and what does it mean to be? And how do I wish to be remembered? And the end goal is that personal brand that you develop. You will build your reputation and you will grow your network in the way that interests others. They will then seek you out and your knowledge and your expertise. If you look at it as well, it's a perception or emotion maintained by somebody others than you. It describes the total experience of having a relationship with you. And personal branding is essential, the ongoing process of establishing a prescribed image or impression in the mind of others about an individual, a group, or an organization. So now we've given you all of what the background is. Where do you start? So I'm going to ask Amos and Chantal again, when you were looking at your personal branding and going through for your promotions and interviews as well, where did you start and what is your brand related to you?
Yeah, I think for myself personally, earlier on in my career, I've always wanted to pride myself on two things. One of them was hard work and the other one is good character. From a young age, maybe due to racial bias, I always thought that I needed to be extremely nice and that needed to be who I was in order to create the right image around to other people. A few years later, I realized it's best just to be my authentic self, which the reality of that was good character anyway. And I was able to build on my personal brand from that. So I think if you're able to adapt to hard work and how you present yourself and formulate a brand that works for you, but also it's extremely important to remember how other people are going to have that same perception. And it always helps to get advice from your peers and get feedback from your peers as to how you feel, if there's certain areas that needs to be changed in terms of how you're presenting yourself to other people. I definitely encourage that as well. I've got a strong mentor network who always give me feedback, but I definitely think hard work, good character, and just formulate a brand that will essentially represent you in the best possible way.
Perfect. And anything you want to add to that as well, Chantal?
Yeah, I think similar to what Amos just said, myself, not only being Black, but also being a female, I've always felt like I've always had to work hard at a lot of stuff. So hard work is definitely something that's been installed in me. And throughout every job that I've gone through, every interview that I've processed, and every interview that I've gone through as well, I've just expressed how much work I put in, basically. Not only that, I think personality is key, and that's what will actually get you somewhere. So you can showcase all these performance, you can do the job, but I feel like you have to have some good character or personality behind you to drive you through, and that's what basically sets you apart. So in terms of my personal brand, I drive myself for foremost, again, hard work and personality, basically.
Perfect, excellent. So yeah, leading on to that. So where do you start? And Chantal and Amos has done shared a great example of you have to think about it. So when you are there, ask yourself these 3 questions, and that will help to identify your personal brand. So what are you really passionate about? What do you rock at? And what do you do to summarize yourself in that 2-minute clip, which Chantal and Amos did amazingly? So take a step back about how you would describe yourself, how others would describe you, how others would describe you when you're not in the room, and how would someone else summarize you? And you've got to go and seek that feedback from those that know you. You've got to live it. And the more you practice it, the more you can tell your story. Now, onto a big part of what also can create your brand is the big one, social media. So many brands have notable career professionals have realized that something they've shared in the past is not what they want others to see in the future. For example, a company may have published an insensitive tweet amid a PR scandal they weren't prepared for, or a controversial Snapchat video they thought would attract more users. Despite what you may think, the content you post online, whether it's in a moment of frustration or excitement, people take what you say as a real opinion and a true representation of who you are. So here's some suggestions on how to refine your personal social media footprint and to be more mindful of the future. So while it's tempting for everyone to see your social media pages, whether it's Twitter rants or those Instagram photo highlights from the weekend, consider limiting for who sees what. You want to limit access on anything that could get you into trouble in the future. If you've posted something in the past that's questionable or could be misinterpreted, you may want to hide it or delete it completely. And once you've cleaned up your profile, monitor what you say. As a general guideline, if you're posting on social media an update in an anger-fueled moment or any doubts about how you're going to post, of what you're going to post, refrain from posting it. Additionally to this, if you've got an account username that you'd be considered unprofessional or could be tied back to you, you may want to change it to an account username that's your real name or something that won't be deemed unprofessional. And at the end of the day, you've got control on how you choose to represent yourself online. Don't let your social media footprint become a future source of embarrassment. You can make the changes now to increase your chances of being hired. So, with social media being a critical part of the way people communicate and how corporations get work done, it's important to remember that your social media footprint will follow you wherever you go. Recruiters do the research, a candidate's social presence when deciding on to hire or not to hire. So the more seriously you take social media activities, the better. And here's a few little facts to keep in mind when posting on social media. So 79% of applicants use social media in their job search, and 90% of companies have successfully hired a candidate through LinkedIn. 59% of recruiters say they find high quality candidates when sourcing through social media, and 62% of job seekers use social media to evaluate an employer brand. 57% of employers found content leading them not to hire those people, and 53% of applicants had posted provocative or inappropriate photos. As well as that, 44% posted comments about drinking or drug use, and 26% of people made discriminatory comments. 24% of people also lied about their qualifications, and then 20% of people shared confidential information from a previous employer. So to put that in perspective as well, if you're looking for your next job, you should assume that social media accounts like LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter will most likely be reviewed by your potential employer. And what you post online matters, which is why you should always be mindful of your online presence. Now let's go over some key factors when it comes to your social media presence on LinkedIn that will also make that exceptional first impression on your potential employer. And I know Chantal and Amos will have heard a lot about the next slide. So have you heard about PI? And there's 3 important elements to consider when you fine-tune your skills to move up and you progress in your career. So the P is for performance, so perform exceptionally well, cultivate your image, and manage your exposure to the right people who know you. Chantal, is there anything you want to add into what we use PI for in enterprise?
Yeah, so to be honest, PI was actually brought to my attention when I was in a branch manager training. So a training lesson, basically just looking at areas where performance will only take you so far, as I said previously. So performance it does count, it does matter. However, exposure, just getting involved, like being exposed to like events that are going on within the company, and to senior managers, just get involved in that. And then image goes back to like your personal brand. How do you want to be perceived to others? So that's one thing that, again, I'm working on. So coming over to this new group now, performance, I've got it. That's why I got the promotion. Image, I've been constantly working. I make sure I present myself well and just basically come ready for the role. Exposure, again, I think is something that I'm definitely going to be working on. Again, it's a new group. So just making sure I'm involved like events such like this, basically, just to get my name out there so people know who I am. So I think no matter where you are throughout your career, it's something you definitely need to think about and you'll always be working on. So yeah, Amos.
Amos, anything you want to add as well?
Chantal said it perfectly, to be fair. In our business, numbers essentially will get you to the table. And what I mean by that is when you're going for promotion or you're going for an interview or whatever it may be, that bit of paper or what your numbers say, that's just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. Your image and how we mentioned earlier on regarding your personal brand, how you communicate to others, how you articulate yourself, that's extremely important. And then the exposure. I think I've found in my career it's extremely beneficial to reach out to whether it's mentors or key decision makers, people who you feel can add value into your career, whether that's for the next job or just general advice or even life. It's extremely important to get your name out there and get your face in front of people who you essentially feel like you can find value in.
Amazing, perfect. And to go through that in more detail as well, and I think Amos and Chantal have really kind of shown you that it is that exposure, which is that key part. So if we look at it from the beginning, so let's look at it from the performance. So that performance, that is that reputation builder. It's that start of your legacy, and it's the common denominator in that interview. But if you go onto the image, it's that unavoidable message that we send before we speak. And that's where those first impressions really come in. It includes your attire, your confidence, your demeanor, and it can be developed at any stage in your career. It's the one that says, I'm ready. And every interaction counts with every single person, because you will never know who you will be talking to that influences your future. So make sure they're positive and they all count. And then that's the big one. So exposure. This is what will have that high impact on your career. It provides a platform to share your performance, and it grants you the visibility to those who can impact your career. And it can be enhanced by a network, like Amos said, about the mentors and the supporters and the business leaders that we have. So it's your personal brand. It's time to put it out there. So we're going to go through a few things on what we can do to really help you get that brand that you want. So the first one, do your research and then get out there and find those ways to stand out. Use every resource to find those opportunities and career paths. Utilize your university resources, including mentor programs, alumni associations, to learn about how you can be the best candidate for the job. Because we all know that there's probably an alumni out there that will have gone down that same route that you've gone down. And there's no harm in reaching out to them. Join local and national associations so people can learn who you are and what is significant about you. And go through career sites and social media profiles for active job listings. Do everything you can do to cast that wide net for your job search. Then, once you've armed yourself with the knowledge, get out there and get out your comfort zone. Events are a great way to get your presentations and networking skills fine-tuned. Share your ideas, you'll build your confidence and broaden your professional network as well. And continue to put yourself out there. Do what makes you uncomfortable, and that's how you grow your personal brand. And we've all had to do it, especially everybody that's joining us in the insight session today. This is something new new for a few people, and we've all gone out there to help our personal brand as well. You've got to meet those new people, and you've got to engage. Social media is the perfect place to connect with peers, alumni, and career professionals that can provide you with that guidance as well. Cultivate relationships with influential recruiters in the industry by reaching out to them. And at Enterprise, our employees are active across social media platforms, and they're very approachable. So don't feel fearful of reaching out to someone. You'll find most recruiters are friendly and receptive to personalized messages. So reach out. We're all here. We all want to do the best for you as well. And if you get hired at a company you pursue for a job or at Enterprise, the opportunities for in-person connections are endless. You can build quality relationships with leaders to foster further career development and gain insightful knowledge about the company. And now you've worked on creating your personal brand and decided on how you want to present yourself to the professional world, it's time to get out there and build a network of people to share it with. And there's many ways to do this. Two of the biggest are in-person events and online. So we'll go over some best practices first shortly for online and social media presence as well. So Amos, is there anything you want to add in terms of that advice on how people today can really build that personal brand?
Yeah, I think one point which I just wanted to add, probably linking back into the do your research. When you've identified people who you want to meet and who you want to get in front of, it's extremely important that you try and plan and prep in advance. So when you have that time with these people, it can be as impactful as possible. You walk away getting the information that you need. You also even never know who it could be. There's something which we learned about the 2-minute elevator pitch. Being able to be in front of that person at a certain period of time, you might only have 2 minutes to sell yourself and speak about what you're about. So just try and plan in advance what you want to say, and most importantly, what you want to gain out of from meeting these different people. Even if it's just a mentor, just try and plan in advance what the best outcome can be from that meeting.
Perfect. Chantel, anything you want to add about what people can do to really go out there and enhance their personal brand?
One thing that sticks out there with me is just being memorable, basically. Just think about what sets you apart. So as we've gone on, talked about pie and just everything on that, yes, performance is good and everything, but what makes you different? What makes that recruiter be like, I want that person, basically? So just take time out and just sit down and just make a note of what makes you different, basically. what can you do to showcase that, and just reach out to the people around you, whether you've got mentors, your colleagues, your friends, anyone like that, and just ask them, when you think of me, what do you think, basically, because you might perceive yourself as something that others are not noticing, if that makes sense. So yeah, just make sure you find out what makes you memorable, basically, and just work on that and be yourself.
Yeah, no, and I think that completely kind of leading on from that, as from a recruiter's point of view, and anyone that's out there kind of looking for those next jobs, and you might even be in the process of being in an interview with us now. We want to see you in an interview. We want to see who you are and your true authentic self. We want to see your brand. So those people that show us their brand and don't just say what you think we want to hear, and actually what you believe and what your answers are and your experience, that's what makes you memorable in those interviews as well. So really kind of echoing that, make sure you are memorable and you bring yourself to every single place you can be. So the ideas for your brand improvement. When you're looking at things on social media as well, make sure you've filled in your profile. Add a picture to your emails as well, so it comes upon if you're in a Teams call or your email profile. And it's a really good way of showing that you've already got that brand there. You've already projected that image as well. Think about your email etiquette. So those communication styles, whether it's you're communicating on Teams, whether you're communicating on Zooms, or whether it is through emails or social media. Think about how you're communicating it. Think about that language you want to use. Don't put all your emails in capital letters, because we all know that comes across as shouting in an email. So make sure that etiquette is there. Make sure you read the emails before you send them, because you'll be sending emails out to recruiters and to companies. So just reread it and think, if I was to send this out, how does this come across? The communication as well, make sure you're using the full language. Don't abbreviate or use text speak as well when you're going through things. Mentoring and get involved in as many things as you can. And mentoring is huge. We even do reverse mentoring here at Enterprise, which I'm sure you'll hear about later on. But it will make a huge impact into how you can see yourself and how you can build that brand as well. And like I said before, those external networks and external groups, you never know who you'll meet or who you'll come across as well. Chantal, are you involved in any external groups or networks apart from in your job as well? Any committees that you're involved in?
So previously I have been involved in the Business in the Community cross mentoring program, which was passed forward to me by Enterprise. And that was like an external company where we got to meet and get involved with different companies or organizations within the UK. So that was a great exposure piece for me. And it just helped me build my confidence as well, and just know that stuff that I'm going through in work, other people are also going through, and just how we can overcome it and stuff like that. And then like Enterprise, as he says, Enterprise does a great job of having internal mentoring programs. So I'm a mentor to someone as well as also having mentors as well who I can reach out to and just basically make sure I'm getting my job done. And if I have any queries or anything like that, or I'm going for anything, you've got someone there to speak to. It's always nice to have someone there.
Perfect. Anything you want to add as well, Amos, about that?
No, probably just to jump off the back of what Chantal said, I think mentoring is extremely important. Having mentors, and just on that, it doesn't have to be one, doesn't have to be two, it can be as many people as you feel like can potentially add value and help you out. And in the flip side, I mentor quite a few people as well. And doing that is also essentially helping myself. Having those conversations, you realize you can relate to what someone else is going through, and it actually helps you out twofold. And just on the social media part, I think we can all do a better job in making social media work for us in terms of LinkedIn, connecting to the people who we feel like, once again, could be effective in their career or where we're trying to aspire to get to. It doesn't always have to be about, of course, we can use it for personal reasons, of course, but just try and ensure that you can get out as much as possible, especially LinkedIn and Twitter.
Perfect. No, I completely agree with that as well. So, oh, sorry, got cut you off a little bit there. Do you want to finish?
No, that's me.
Oh, it's done. So from this workshop, we really want you to take something away to really start to build that personal brand as well. So if you're in a job at the moment, if you're in a team, reach out to your friends, reach out to your line managers, your department managers. That's a great place to start, to really start to understand, what is my brand in a career? What is my brand in the job now? And then you can start to develop that brand as well. And don't forget to always ask yourself those 3 questions. So really think about them, take them away, write them down. And like we said at the beginning, the whole of this Insight Day will be recorded as well, so you can go back to it on our YouTube, but think about them, and that will make a real impact in your brand. So for those smart and talented people from the first slide, the ones that have helped us grow, we make sure every single one of them has a seat at our table. We recruit at local colleges and universities like right now, and we work with community partners and organisations to recruit people from a wide variety of backgrounds. And we also try and make sure that the corporate ladder is there for everyone, and have a group of mentors and a pipeline that people can give from diverse backgrounds a clear map for moving up enterprise. And no matter where you're located, you will have support here no matter what. So make sure you connect with everybody that we have in the team, and it's always an open dialogue. It's always important to enterprise, and that's why we've introduced we've got our diversity councils here as well today. So make sure you connect with us as well. Here's all our channels, and I'm sure we'll be bringing them up for the future as well, but connect with us, start building your brand here today. So I want to thank Amos and Chantel, who have joined me in the workshop, and we really, really hope that it's been beneficial in showing you how you can really build that personal brand and yourself as well. Chantel, Amos, any final words before we hand back over?
I'd probably say some great advice I recently got was to stay true to yourself and enjoy the journey. So although we're talking about personal brands and how you can build on that, which is extremely important, also remember that, especially in today's day and age, we're just pushing to be your authentic self, which I think is the best advice I can give you. Thank you as well for having me.
Amazing. Thank you, Amos. Chantal?
From me, just touching on the first impressions, just remember, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, so just make sure it counts, basically. Do your research, find out what's memorable, and just make sure it counts, basically. But yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you, Amos and Chantel, for joining me on the workshop today and sharing your insights. So now it's my chance to finally do it. So back over to Ashley and Raj in the studio.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And genuinely, Rebecca, Chantel, and Amos, what an incredible session on our personal brand. Thank you so much. It's so great to see how the little things that we can do can have such a huge impact on our personal brand and the way that other people view us. Now we're going to take a 10-minute refreshment break where we're also going to watch a video. So feel free to stay tuned in, grab some refreshments, and watch our video. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I'm hoping that everyone got some good refreshments and now is re-energized to continue with our session. Morning, Zach. How are you?
Hi, Ash. How you doing?
All good, thank you. All good. Everyone, I am so excited to introduce you to Zach Gill, who is on our Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Council for the UK and Ireland, and to Temi. Now, Enterprise is an amazing company, and every year we put out an employee opinion survey where we're asked questions like, do you have a best friend at work? Which really goes back to the branding workshop that we spoke about earlier, where you ask people for feedback about your personal performance, about the way they perceive you, and how you can perform in the business. And I'm so happy to introduce you to Temi, who is my best friend at work, who's going to be talking to Zach about his views and on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So over to you, Temi and Zach.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Ashley, best friend. My name is Temi Shoyinka. I started my enterprise career at one of our daily rental branches, and I now currently work on the property and development team down here in the London and South East region, where I manage some of our properties and open new locations for our ever-growing business.
Right now, I would love to introduce the General Manager of the London and South East region, Zach Gill. Welcome, Zach.
Hi, Tammy. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So, Zach, before we get started on our session, tell us a bit about yourself and your successful career at Enterprise so far.
Yeah, I've been with the company 21 years, and it genuinely feels like I started last year. I started as a management trainee, pretty much like everybody else in our U4 group in Stoke-on-Trent. From there, I moved to Hull, back down to Stoke, and then came down to London as an area manager in 2004. Did 4 years as an area manager, then became the group rental manager for Central London in 2008. Did that for a while, then went up to Group U2, again as a GRM, decided to go to a different group, see what that was like. Did that for 4 years. And then from there, I became the Assistant Vice President for UK and Ireland, the role that Sam Patel does today. I did that for 2 years, and in 17, I was lucky enough to get the GM's role at Group UA. So between 17 and 21, 5 years, 4 or 5 years, I did that. Then this time last year, literally to the day, I got promoted to General Manager of Group U1. So 21 years.
Wow.
21 years. I know, a long time.
Honestly, Zach, that is actually a very amazing journey that you've had with Enterprise, and it's very inspiring. And I'm really excited to sort of hear from you today. So let's get straight into it.
No worries.
What is your involvement with the DE&I Council and the DE&I initiatives that we have here at Enterprise?
Well, inclusion and ensuring equity is important for us all. It's very important to me, especially, and I take it personal. And I think, rightly or wrongly, I think it's my responsibility to use my position to actively strive for constant improvement. And I mean constant improvement, not just do a little bit here and a little bit there. I mean, make improvements on a regular basis, and it's always top of mind. We're all on a journey of developing ourselves and educating others, and also bettering the organisation that we work in, because everybody doesn't know it all. At Enterprise, we take diversity, equity, and inclusion very seriously. And we're a long way into our journey of being an inclusive employer. But that doesn't end there. We're always learning, evolving. And I've been actively involved in our journey, from chairing our diversity meetings when on the UK and Ireland board, to the group diversity meetings, to being an active. I would say not enough right now, but we do a lot, but not enough. I think we could do a hell of a lot more than we do today. We do loads of events throughout the year, from breaking fast together at Ramadan, celebrating Diwali, which is this month, and other important religious calendar days. And that's just not in, it could be LGBTQ, it could be minority events. We hold minority and leadership events in every single group. Some are face-to-face, some are on Teams. We do loads of little events, but I want to talk more about what we could do more. And the reason we need to do more, for me personally, is I want diversity of thought. You know, I want people with different ideas from different backgrounds, different outlooks, different opinions. That's the only way. If we get those opinions and we have them in the room, we have them in the boardroom, we have them at senior levels, will we see the true potential of our business? And I can surround myself with people who sound like me, talk like me, think like me, and the business will just do what I want it to do. I want the business to do what you want it to do. I want your ideas, your thoughts. And if everyone around that table is fundamentally different and come from a different background, we will have a diverse thought process coming through into our leadership team. And those ideas are critical. And that's how we learn how to run this business and represent the communities that we serve today. And that's where we need to celebrate those. We need to celebrate our differences. And to celebrate our differences, we need role models. I want role models. I want a new employee to start. I want them to look up and recognize themselves in our senior leadership team, irrespective of what department they're in. I want them to be able to feel comfortable coming into an organization where there's people that look like them, sound like them, have come from a similar background to them. And that way, And that way, every trainee coming through into the business will believe in themselves and believe in their own ability. And actually, you know, it's easy for me to stand here and say, this is what we're going to do and this is the results it will yield. And it's very easy when somebody can see that in action and see it in practice and see a whole load of diverse senior leaders in the business representing all communities, all backgrounds, for people to look up and go, I want to be that person.
You know, I think it's one thing to say, oh, this is what we do, but it's a whole other thing to be able to say what you said, and that there's so much opportunity in what we can do to improve on that diversity and inclusion. And it's exciting to see what the future holds, really. Oh, go on, Zach.
Sorry, and that's the best way to celebrate our difference.
Exactly.
Is through promotions, through level 3, level 4, diversity at all levels. That's the best way to celebrate it.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I actually did have one final question, Zach, but I feel like you've given us so many amazing nuggets of knowledge throughout this session so far. But did you have any final closing statements on what the future holds with racial equity in our business?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a forward-thinking organization that embraces change, embraces people from different backgrounds, and wants to be successful. But we can't do it without your input. We can't do it without input from people from different backgrounds, because everyone's learning. You look at our senior leadership team right now, it's not as diverse as I would like. And to do that, we need to learn from each other. Reverse mentoring is a fantastic concept, great idea, but we need your help. And I also encourage you to just reach out to area managers, city managers, myself, and see what you can do to help move this organization forward. This organization is ours. It's not somebody else's. It belongs to us. And it's our responsibility to move it forward and make it the company, make it the group that we're proud of. And to do that, to have diversity at every level would just be amazing.
I agree. This sounds so exciting. I really can't wait to see how we progress as a business with racial equity over the next few years. So thank you so much, Zach, for your time and insight into this important topic and putting a focus and light on what we do as a company and what we plan to do moving forward. I will now hand back over to my colleague and best friend, Ashley, to lead into the panel.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you so much, Temi. Thank you so much, Zach. That was so incredible to hear about your journey, Zach, and to hear about your thoughts and what you hit and what you believe about overcoming that adversity in the business. That's so inspiring. And I hope that everyone in the audience, everyone listening, can relate that back to yourself and how you would like to implement that for yourself to move forward in your personal careers. I'm so excited to also introduce to you all of our panelists, because we are going to have a Q&A session with some panelists for you all. If everyone would like to unmute yourselves and share your video with us all. So for everyone, for all of our viewers, we're now going to jump into a Q&A session where, again, you have the opportunity to use the chat box function to ask us some questions. I am absolutely aware that it's sometimes very nerve-wracking to be the first person to put a question out there. So don't worry about it. I've got some burning questions that I also want to know about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I will also kick us off with some questions. My colleague Hassan is monitoring the chat box for you, so don't worry. As you do have some questions, you can direct it specifically to our panelists. But before you do so, let's get to know them. Zach, would you like to introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, no problem. Zach Gill. I'm the General Manager, Vice President for Group U1, the South East region. Been with the company 21 years.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Zach. Next up, I've got Chantel.
So my name's Chantal Lane. I'm Accounting Supervisor at the South East England. I've been with the company for 7.5 years. As most people, started as a management trainee, worked my way up to branch manager, then had the opportunity to move over to the business management department and work myself up to supervisor. And I basically most recently relocated for this role from Birmingham to London. So I'm excited to just see what I can do at U1 and just looking for the next promotion.
Fantastic. Can't wait to hear more from you, Chantel. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Michael.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael. Been at Enterprise 11 years, and I'm an area manager, and I currently look after the Birmingham region.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing, Michael. Then we've got Temi.
Oh, hello. My name is Temi. I'm the facilities and construction specialist down here in the South London and Southeast region. I also, like I said, started in daily rental, and I've recently just been promoted after being on maternity leave for a little bit, and I've been in the company 4.5 years.
Amazing. Thank you. And Marvelous.
Hi, my name is Marvelous, also known as Marv Amen. I started Enterprise as an MT. Today, I'm an assistant manager in the Dublin Airport. Started from the home city, and I've been in Enterprise now for 4 years. Also a member of the DE&I Council. Nice to meet you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Marv. Thank you. And last but not least, we've got Lovejoy.
Hi guys. So I started Enterprise 2 years ago as a management trainee, and I'm a current assistant manager for Wakefield branch, just relocated from Leeds Bradford Airport at the moment.
Incredible. Love that. Can't wait to hear what you all have to say. Well, I've got a couple of questions, and then again, Hassan will ask some questions from our viewers as well. So the first question I have is, how has diversity, equity, and inclusion developed throughout your career at Enterprise, and what impact on business, and what impact on the business have you seen as a result of this? Michael, I'd love to direct this first question at you.
No problem. Yeah, so Enterprise has always been open and inclusive from day one since I joined as a graduate trainee 11 years ago. Diversity is something that's in the fabric of our organization, and being a person of color myself, I feel safe, secure, and very included. I've witnessed colleagues from all walks of life being promoted into high positions, and I've seen an increase in a number of diversity events, namely Christmas parties and Diwali celebrations, etc. We have events like this today, which obviously bring focus on Black History Month and the events from around the world, which are also related to this. Obviously, the second part of the question is, what impact has it had on the business? So as an area manager myself, there's numerous windows for me which indicate how my team and how my area are. So firstly, from an employee angle, as an area manager in central Birmingham, so for those that don't know, it's a very multicultural area. Me as an area manager in Enterprise have ensured that we represent our neighbourhoods in all of the branches. I have a diverse team of males and females, and my team are very engaged and happy to be at work. So how do I know that? So I know that by the performance that we show as an area. Our retention figures is one of the best. And thirdly, the team's always engaged when I visit them at their branches. But what's even more important for me are the outcomes of our employee opinion survey. The survey is anonymous, and it asks about DE&I from our employees. And when I get the results, I can see that my team are feeling great and included and are well represented. But we don't just stop there. So just recently, I've been given an opportunity to mentor students from disadvantaged backgrounds in Manchester. I'm honoured to be given this opportunity so that I can coach, develop, and give back to students who come from a very similar background to myself.
Wow, Michael, so much to unpack from that answer, but that was genuinely incredible. Thank you so much. Specifically, I love that you're also donating your personal time to develop people from underprivileged backgrounds. And genuinely, what more can we do as a company but to help strengthen the communities around us? And I love that you're doing that, and your teams are motivated while they're at work as well. Thank you so much for that answer, Michael.
Thank you.
Chantel, same question for you. Do you want me to read the question again?
No, that's fine. So I think DNA has developed throughout my career as Enterprise has been actively involved in workshops and events and stuff like that to push diversity. And we have a number of committees that we have, from racial equality to LGBTQ to women in leadership. There's just so much committees that you can basically be a part of. And not only that, as previously mentioned in the slides before, we also have external stuff that we also get involved in, such as the Business in the Community Organisation Mentor Circle, which is great, and it just helps us get our name out there as well, and just help employees build their confidence as well. I think with these committees as well, not only do they help us guys build our confidence, it also helps us when we're looking for those new recruits and there's employees coming in. So we have a better understanding of them and their cultures, their backgrounds, so we can better help and aid them and push them through their careers. Obviously, being a manager, one thing I really do push my team is to get involved in a committee. It's helped me a lot throughout my career. So I've been involved in the Women in Leadership Committee and the Race and Equality Committee. And both of those just gives you great exposure to like other people within the business and just get a better understanding of how you can push yourself. As I said before, being a Black woman, you find that you've got to work a lot harder than other people and get your name out there a bit more. So just having these committees there has really helped build my confidence and get myself a seat at the table, basically. So I think Enterprise has done a great job in just basically pushing these committees and just making sure everyone feels welcome and included.
Oh, fantastic. So I love the feeling and the emotion that you have of feeling included in the business, because again, that inclusivity part of diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important to us, and really the representation truly helps as well. Thank you so much, Chantel. I've got another question here. It says, what has influenced your thinking around diversity, equity, and inclusion? And what motivates you to be involved and advocate this in and around our business? Sak, I'd love to hear your insights on this one.
Yeah, no problems. What motivates me now is fundamentally different to what motivated me 21 years ago. What motivates me now is giving people a chance. What this company does, it allows everybody to be successful. It gives everyone the same starting point. Everyone starts at management trainee, and then it's up to you to become successful throughout that career. But everyone starts at the same point. Nobody's got a head start. My job, my role is to make sure that people who look like me, sound like me, come from a diverse background, look like people on this call, to give them a chance to be successful in an organization that could really propel your career. So, and that's what drives me and motivates me when I look at these kind of events and I look at the minority in leadership events and how we celebrate successes, is when somebody who comes from a background that their parents migrated to this country in the 60s or 70s, and then they go on and be successful in an organization which they never thought they could do that. That's what drives me and motivates me today. And I look around and I see so many great examples of people coming through, and they've got through to assistant and to BM, and we've got Perry and Amos and Lamin and Adekoya and loads of others getting to area manager, then just getting to that next step to GRM. And then we can all help more people come through the system and create a diverse leadership team. And I think that's what we need to do. It's what we strive to do on a day-to-day basis. And that's why these council, these calls, and the events that we hold are critically important.
Absolutely. I love to see that motivation. I love to see that come into fruition, and I can't wait to see that happening in our group and around the business. Thank you so much, Sak. I've got my next question here. Is everyone in the panel today actually started as a management trainee or a placement student? How did you build your brand as a student and showcase this in your first interview here at Enterprise? Lovejoy, would you like to answer this one for me?
Yeah, I'll start. I started building my personal brand as a student by simply getting involved in things outside my academics. Before all of that, I had to make sure that I had a good online footprint. So I had a good up-to-date LinkedIn profile, which was an up-to-date CV and an up-to-date profile picture as well. I was also involved in the African Caribbean Society at university, as well as the football team. While working at university, I was working as an SIA for a crowd events company. I studied business management at university, but also had my personal business where I used to buy and sell electronics to companies at university. So the brand I wanted to portray and then show for myself in the interview was how driven I was and how hardworking I was. And I believe the main thing that set me apart at the interview was my background. Coming from a high school which has less than 10% GCSE pass rate, I had to show how I am where I am today by being hardworking and driven. And that's translated to my career in Enterprise as well by getting 3 promotions last 2 years. So I feel the advice I'll give anyone as a student right now is be yourself, showcase everything about yourself in the interview, and get involved and build your brand. I've referred 3 people that work for Enterprise at the moment, and they've done the same thing from similar backgrounds to myself. So the only advice I'd give everyone is be yourself and showcase yourself in the interview.
I love that, Lovejoy. Thank you so much for that advice, and that's so beautiful as well. I love that you believe in Enterprise as a great place to work, and you've advocated that to other people. But I also love your drive and your determination to be successful as well. That's genuinely incredible. Thank you so much, Lovejoy. Marv, would you like to answer the same question?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ashley. So for me, just before the interview, I had the opportunity to meet with the talent specialist when it came to the college, and then made presentations, same as every other company. I just got so interested. I got so engrossed in the way Nicole and the way she explained how people build a career from the start to the end. And she ended up by saying, you could be the next general manager in Enterprise. And it's that easy. So you are responsible building your career. I wanted to know more about it. I went to her after the presentation, talk a little bit about it. And then I got so interested. I was like, it's Enterprise or nowhere. And funny enough, Enterprise was the only company that I applied for. I kept waiting. The first response I got was, just looking at my email, I didn't get a job, but I kept on insisting that I want to know why I didn't get a job. And I want to speak to someone about it. So I got opportunity to meet with the HR. And I said, I want to talk to you personally, and so you know if I'm qualified for the job or not. I was able to present myself. And at the end, she was like, well, she apologized and got me into the job. And that's where I am today. So the lesson I learned there is, what I want to say to everyone is, if you know what you want, go for it. No matter what it costs, go for it. So I went for it, be visible. When I was in college, I always make sure I know what I wanted. Like Lovejoy said, so build a very good profile. Your LinkedIn, your social media brand is so very, very important. And also in the college, try to just participate in something. Be very, very comfortable with who you are. You don't have to be anyone else. You just have to be you, but just know what you want and go for it. So it is very good to build your brand by just knowing what you want and go for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marv. I think that's a beautiful anecdote of being able to be your authentic self, both in life and where you work. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I think that's so impactful. I also wanted to ask another question. As a company, we have an incredible focus on driving diversity within our business, but just like Zach said, by no means is this job done. What are you doing personally to drive the next steps in diversity initiatives for Enterprise? Temi, I'd really like to focus this question at you.
Well, funny enough, diversity in general as a Black woman is just something I care very much about. So to then be able to work for a company that cares just as much about it, it's a great feeling. And early last year, I think it's been mentioned a couple of times about reverse mentoring. So I actually helped to introduce the reverse mentoring scheme that we currently have here in the Southeast region with our then Vice President of Rental, who is now the General Manager of our Scotland group. And just off the back of him coming to the branch, seeing me at the branch and having a conversation, we were able to introduce this reverse mentoring scheme in which junior members of our teams from Black, Asian backgrounds were mentoring senior leadership in our businesses. And that's something that's huge, you know. It gave us the opportunity to be able to sort of speak to our senior leadership, for them to sort of understand us, how we can function, work better in our businesses, how we can work to the best of our ability in our businesses and be successful, and for them to also have the opportunity to learn from that and improve and expand on the amazing things that we're already doing in our business to be inclusive and to diversify. So that's something that is really amazing that we're doing. Other things that I'm trying to do myself as well. So I'm actually a part of our minorities in leadership committee here in the Southeast. And I'm trying to, at the moment, to start a mini series, just give a moment with different people from different areas of our business, from different backgrounds. And it's just to highlight the cultural differences in our business that make our business so wonderful to work for. We have different backgrounds here, loads of different people, as you can see on this call, on this panel, representing in this business. I myself, I'm Nigerian, I'm proud, and I'm also British, I'm proud. And it's a time to highlight these wonderful things. So yeah, that's some of the things I'm doing at the moment.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Temi. There's some really great initiatives that we're running to really move our business forward for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you so much. Those are some of the burning questions that I had that I wanted to talk to you about. But now we have Hassan, one of my colleagues, who's going to read out the questions that you will put in the chat box for us. Hassan?
Ashley, thank you very much. Yes, well, we've had some great questions there in the chat box. Got first one's going out to Chantel and Temi. The question is, as Black females in the business, do you feel like you've had to do even more to build your brand in a male-dominated business? So Chantel first, and then over to Temi, please.
As probably mentioned before, I do feel like I probably had to have done more, basically. So obviously started off as a graduate trainee, coming into enterprise. I think it was when I first started, it didn't really have much role models around me. So it was just like, okay, so I want this job. I've come in, I want to be the next level, but there's no one really around me like that. So then I had to kind of like get myself out there a bit more and just find these people. And then I found mentors, found people who were in like branch manager positions, that basically I wanted their role. Basically, they were like me, for instance. They showcased that you can get to the top, basically. So I just reached out with them, reached out to them, asked them to be my mentors and just help guide me through the career and what I can do to get myself out there a bit more. I think I've always felt like I've had to work hard in everything I do. It's just second nature. Anything I put my mind to, I've put my all into it, basically. So yes, I'm Black, yes, I'm a female, but that's just my characteristics anyway. It doesn't define who I am or anything like that. I am a person and I'll always work hard and just give it my all. So yes, I'm Black female, but that doesn't define who I am. It's basically, as a person, I work hard and just put my all into everything anyway. Temi, do you want to take over?
Yeah, sure. I feel like I said during the sort of panel session or with discussion with SAC that early on in my career at Enterprise, I was invited to minorities in leadership events. So I felt like I was already being equipped with whatever tools that I needed to be able to be successful. And a little bit of what, SAC was saying, like, I'm somebody that in general is very driven. And I didn't necessarily feel like at all like who I was, where I'm from, my culture was going to have an impact in how well I was going to perform or how well I was going to do in my career. I think it was just a case of I came into the business and said, you know what, if somebody is not at the senior leadership that looks like me, for instance, I was going to be that person that was going to be in leadership, that Black woman that will be in leadership. So that just, if anything, just encouraged me to work harder. But in reality, there were Black women in leadership, there were Black men in leadership as well. And there was just a lot of diversity. Although there can be more, there was still a lot. So it was very encouraging for me. So I don't really feel like, my color or anything like that was really a hindrance in how well I, was doing at work. I just think it was something that I bared in mind that, if anything, Temi, I'm going to be that person, that's in leadership as a successful Black woman.
Thank you, Temi and Chantel. Very inspirational. Thank you very much. We've got questions coming through now in the chat box. Another one is, what advice would you give to those people that are looking to start their search for a mentor? Where would you start and how do you approach the mentor? That's for SAC. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Mentorship is critically important because inside your branch, you've always got your assistant manager or your branch manager, or in your department, you've got your supervisor or your manager, whatever it may be. They're your line. You deal with them on a day-to-day basis. Mentorship's important because you can step outside of your day-to-day role and speak to somebody who doesn't see you day in, day out, and isn't going to judge you for the questions you're going to ask. So you've got to find somebody who you can connect with relationship-wise. And it's important that person that you choose is going to tell you the truth. is not simply going to tell you what you want to hear. They're actually going to tell you what you need to hear. And that's different. And that's where a mentor really comes into their own, if they can help guide, shape, coach your career, but also tell you your flaws. Now, if you've got, and if your attitude isn't great, or you're not performing to a level that you should be performing, or you're behind on your progression map, so to speak, you need somebody to call it out. And that's where the mentor is worth their weight in gold. So to choose one, you've got to look at it, one, in terms of compatibility, but the opposite to that, don't choose somebody who is identical to you, who you feel comfortable around. You've got to choose somebody who's going to add value to your career, because that's what a mentor's there for, to guide, coach, and steer you through some choppy waters as you progress your career in the company that you work for. And that's why you have to be really careful choosing your mentor. But the one thing I would say is you don't need to stick with one mentor throughout. You can have multiple mentors, 2 or 3, and go to different people for different types of advice. So always stay flexible, always stay nimble, choose somebody who's going to add value to your career, and then make sure you choose somebody who is not too similar to your own personality. That's what I would do.
Super. Thank you very much for that, Sak. We've had some more questions come through. This one's from Michael Perry. Sak, you mentioned on enterprise promotion from within the culture. Michael, over to you. How do you support your employees going through promotions?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is then what you can't be, you can't see, as Sak mentioned earlier. And I think, especially in the area that I work in currently, I have to give them that confidence to apply for those roles. And whether it's within my region or outside my region, I'm always on the forefront of asking them to do that. I mean, when I was coming through the ranks as a graduate trainee, when I qualified to become an assistant manager, I was applying for areas that I've never even been to. And I think it's just going out your comfort zone, which enables you as an employee to actually be better at doing your job. So again, yeah, just going out your comfort zone, making people aware of that, and yeah, making them shine through that light.
Thank you very much for that, Michael. Thank you. Okay, we've got some questions. The questions are coming through pretty thick and fast here again in the chat box. We're going to choose some great ones here. We'd love to hear kind of a bit from all of you guys in the panels. I've got a question there from Sandil saying, congratulations to you all on your independent journeys. What individuals' targets do you have within the company? So starting off from Chantel, Marvelous, Michael, Temi, Lovejoy, and hopefully ending up with Sak. So yeah, Sandy wants to know, what individuals' targets do you have within the company?
Do you mean like personal targets, sorry, or like just...
Yeah, in terms of your personal development, your personal...
Okay, yeah, so no, that's fine. So as I said previously, I've basically relocated over to the London group. And one thing that I just wanted to push basically is within my business department, you don't really have, the team's diverse, but in terms of the management, there's not really much diversity. So we had females, we had a female FC. However, just having someone represent in a senior role of colour, basically, and that's what I wanted to push in my department, to show the guys that you can and it is possible to get there. So within my team that I have, I just push the guys to just make sure they're giving them all, have the same work ethic as me, and just making sure they're getting involved in committees, as I mentioned before, and just stuff outside to just expose them, basically, so they're ready for the next role and just show them that it is possible. So my target is I want other people, whether it's females, women of colour, just to be in my position of being like a senior management. So that's my target. I want to see more people within my role or higher in those positions.
Thank you, Chantal. Very inspirational. Marvelous. Over to you. Marvelous, there?
Yeah, thanks very much for that question. Yeah, so personally, I'm so very committed to see that we have more Black employees getting leadership role in the company. When I started, and it came to a point, I was just the only Black employee in Enterprise Island, and I had a meeting with some of the senior leadership in the company, just as a consign to, like, I'm seeing that I'm the only Black here at the moment. So what are we doing to see that we have more people in it? And they actually took actions. And as I speak, we have nearly about 20 Black employees in Ireland, and which was a great effort. And then I'm also, when the opportunity for the DE&I came in, council, I went in for it. I saw that's a great opportunity to push more, to fight from that background, to bring more people into it. So my goal has been to see more Black people in the leadership, piloting, pushing the company to the high level where it should be, and then also representing in that cadre. So it's working for us this week, this month of the Black History. So we have some good plans, activities lined up, and one of the activities that we'll try to bring it for the first time is the first Black female councillor in Ireland. So she'll be coming in and having a meeting with all the Black employees because she's full of inspiration. She's going to inspire everyone, talk to people. So we're doing a lot of that's what I've been so committed to see. And next year we have better plans as well. So I look forward to the future. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Michael, over to you, please. Thank you.
Yeah, a couple of targets that I have as an area manager is I want to see more people of colour become an area manager and become part of the leadership team. And going back to what Zach mentioned earlier, I'm part of the DE&I Council for the UK and Ireland, and we're making significant changes in all strands of our business to, again, make it more diverse and inclusive. And that's something that we're working on at a UK level. And we're speaking to, people like Erin Braddock, again, who is the chief officer for the company in regards to diversity, equity and inclusion. And yeah, just again, seeing more people reach to senior leadership like myself, and which will obviously make the company, much, much better.
Thank you, Michael. Temi, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke about some of the things that already I'm trying to do myself. But in terms of my own sort of personal career, I'm currently enjoying my time on the property and development team. But somewhere down the line, I do sort of see myself going back into rental so that I can, progress and be that Black woman in leadership and be senior leadership. It would be great to, one day be able to follow in the footsteps of someone like Zach and be the next general manager. Who knows? But yeah, those are some of my own personal aspirations in my career at Enterprise.
Right, awesome. Good to hear. Thank you, Temi. And finally, Lovejoy.
For me, I would say I just want to keep on pushing on within the company and keep on progressing. Like I recently relocated to Wakefield, but in a couple of months, I want to be applying for branch manager roles and keep going. Maybe area manager like Michael, and keep going on group leaders like Zach Gill as well. But I also want to mentor people. Like as I'm the only Black assistant manager in my area, I've got a lot of MTs like I've told before I referred for, and some of them are actually applying for assistant manager roles. Just want to help more people with the same background as me progress in the company, so we're in positions like Mike and Zach in the future.
Super. Thank you very much. And one final question we've had come through. I think this one's for Zach. The question says, Zach, you mentioned you've been in the business for 21 years. You've gone through so many different groups and areas. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
It's a good question. Please stop saying 21 years. It makes me feel really, really, really old. I think a couple of you touched on it. I think Lovejoy touched on it and Marv touched on it as well. Your brand is the most important thing you own, be that on a digital platform, be that inside the company. You have to protect it and you have to build it. So as I've moved around multiple groups and I never always got it right. So if I was going to give myself some advice back a few decades ago, that would be protect your brand, make sure you network well, and just be mindful of your digital platform, what you put on Facebook, what you put on Twitter, what you put on Instagram. That's going to stick with you when you're 20 years older. And some of that stuff sometimes isn't clever. So just be really careful of your brand, protect it, develop it, build it, and share it with senior leadership.
Thank you. Some great bits of advice there. Thank you to you all. Back over to the studio to Ashley.
Thank you so much, Hassan. First of all, I really just want to say thank you so much to all of our panelists. It was incredible hearing about all of your own personal stories, how inspired you all are for the future, and your views on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you so much. Next up, what I would love to be able to do is to reintroduce you to Raj, who's going to tell you all about some very, very exciting news.
Absolutely. So yes, we've come to the end of our insight session to celebrate Black History Month. So hopefully that all of you guys have gained and got some takeaways from all the golden nuggets that have been shared over the last 2 hours, you know, and whether that's to benefit you while you're at university or whether that's for you to take on these bits of advice as you embark on your career. So as we mentioned at the start of this session, we will be announcing a lucky winner from today's session. And that will take place, the draw will take place this Wednesday, the 5th of October at 1 o'clock. And the lucky winner will have the opportunity to spend a day with a senior manager from a department of their choice. And at Enterprise, we have every department under the sun. Yes, we may be a car rental company, but guess what? We have a legal department. We have a revenue management department. So you can take a pick of whichever department you want to be exposed to. Now, as I mentioned, that draw will be taking place this Wednesday live on our social media platforms, Wednesday, the 5th of October at 1 o'clock. So please make a note of that. With that said, have a fantastic Monday afternoon, and we'll look forward to having you join us live for our draw on Wednesday.